All right, let's just jump right in. Look, if you've ever been in charge of a paid social media budget, you know this exact feeling, right? You're pouring money in, you're seeing all this activity, but the revenue? It's just not showing up like you'd expect. It feels like a total mystery, and the only real clue you have is this giant hole in your bank account. So today, we're going to put on our detective hats and solve this thing, the case of the missing revenue. I mean, this quote right here, it just hits home for so many of us. You're doing everything you're supposed to do, making great content, engaging with people, getting those clicks, but the money at the end of the day feels totally disconnected from all that work. It's it's frustrating. The math just doesn't add up. So, that leads us to the big question, the one we absolutely have to answer. It's not just some abstract business problem. This is personal. Where is your money going? Seriously. Because until you can point to exactly where it's going and what it's doing, you're not really investing. You're just hoping for the best. And we're not talking about small change here. The stakes are incredibly high. $47,000. That's what businesses lose on average every single year from campaigns they just can't track. This isn't some tiny leak. It's a massive financial bleed. And the scary part is it's happening silently in the background. Okay. So in any good investigation, you first have to rule out the obvious suspects. These are the things we think are the problem. But as you're about to see, a lot of these are just false leads, dangerous distractions that pull our attention away from the real culprit. And our first false lead is a classic. It's the vanity metrics trap. Oh man, it's so easy to fall into this one, right? Celebrating all the likes, the new followers, the impressions, they make you feel good, but they don't pay the bills. A post with 10,000 likes but 0 sales, that's a failure. But one with 100 clicks and 10 sales, that's the gold mine. We gotta focus on what actually matters. And here's another one we see all the time. This idea that if we just make more stuff, more posts, more videos, more everything, then the results will just magically appear. But that's just confusing activity with progress. You can have the most beautiful Instagram feed on the planet, but if you can't prove which piece of content is actually driving sales, you're just making noise in the void. All right, we've looked at the decoys. It's not just about chasing the wrong metrics or making more content. The real problem is something deeper. It's technical. It's hidden. So it's time to pull back the curtain and unmask the invisible culprit that's been quietly robbing you blind. And here it is. This is the villain of our story. It's called the tracking gap. And listen, this isn't a marketing mistake you're making. This is a technical breakdown. It's that tiny, critical moment when someone clicks your ad, but the digital handshake between the ad platform and your website, it just fails. And poof, the connection is gone. Forever. So how does this one little gap create such a massive black hole for your data? Well, think about it. A user sees your ad, they're interested, they click. Bam. They hit the gap. Now, they might still navigate your site and buy your product, but because that initial connection was lost, that sale is never tied back to your ad. The revenue shows up, sure, but you have no earthly idea which campaign it came from. And if you don't know that, how can you possibly optimize? You can't. And this right here, this is what that breakdown actually looks like in the wild. A tracking pixel error isn't some tiny bug you could ignore. This is the smoking gun. This is the evidence of the crime. This single technical failure is what makes your ad spend completely unmeasurable and turns your entire strategy into one big, expensive guessing game. So we know our culprit, the tracking gap. But like any good criminal, it has more than one trick up its sleeve. It has 5 distinct methods, a modus operandi, if you will, that it uses to steal your revenue. And we're about to break down every single one. Method number 1 is the most brutal. The most direct. It's when the pixel, the very thing that's supposed to be tracking everything, just doesn't show up to work. It doesn't load at all. And when this happens, it is a catastrophic, total failure. 100%, let me say that again, 100% of the traffic to that page is now completely invisible to you. You can't retarget them. You can't attribute any sales to them. You can't build audiences from them. You are literally paying money to send your most interested customers directly into a data black hole. Okay, method 2 is a little more insidious, a little sneakier, because from the outside, it might look like everything's fine. The pixel fires, but it's sending all that valuable data to the wrong place. Think of it this way. It's like you're writing checks every month and mailing them to the wrong address, then wondering why your power got shut off. Your site is doing the work, collecting the data, but it's sending it to a pixel ID that's wrong or doesn't exist. Meta, or whatever platform you're using, gets this data and just throws it away. 100% of your tracking effort, gone, wasted. Method number 3 is a silent killer. It plays on our modern-day impatience. This is what happens when your tracking pixel is just too slow to do its job before a potential customer gets frustrated and leaves. You know how it is. A user clicks your ad. The page starts to load, and load, and load, and they're gone. They bounce before your slow-loading pixel ever gets a chance to fire. Just like that, a super high-quality prospect vanishes. This one error can lose you tracking on 15 to 25% of your traffic, and it's feeding your ad algorithms bad, incomplete data. All right, now for a method that really proves a terrifying point. Sometimes bad data is so much worse than no data at all. This is what happens when your pixel fires multiple times for the exact same event. So what happens here is the same single sale gets reported to Meta 2, 3, maybe even 4 times. Your dashboard lights up. You think you got 3 sales, but you really only got 1. Your results are totally inflated, making you think some campaign is a rock star. So what do? You pour more money into it, scaling a campaign based on data that is fundamentally a lie. It's one of the fastest ways to burn through your budget. And finally, we have a strategic failure. Now, this one's different. It's not a bug. It's a flaw in the very journey you've designed for your customer. It's a problem that even a technically perfect pixel can't solve. Just imagine this journey. Someone clicks your Instagram ad, they land on a link tree or a bio link page, a page that probably doesn't have your tracking pixel. Then they click again to get to your actual sales page. By that point, the chain is broken. The original link to the ad is lost. The pixel might fire when they finally buy, but it has no idea that journey started with your ad. You've accidentally built a maze that's impossible to measure. Okay, that was a lot, I know. We've identified the culprit, we've broken down its 5 methods of attack, but here's the good news. This case is absolutely solvable. So now we're shifting gears. We're moving from diagnosis to action. This is the path to proof, where you stop guessing and you start knowing exactly what your ad spend is doing for you. Here is the roadmap, the 6-step plan to close this case for good. First, and this is the biggest step, you have to acknowledge the problem exists. Then, you demand proof for every dollar you spend. Get a full diagnostic audit. From there, you implement fixes, the ones that are actually going to impact revenue, not just the easy ones. Then, you verify the results. Make sure what you did actually worked. And only then, only when you have that proof, can you scale with absolute confidence. Because you're not making decisions based on hope anymore. You're using facts. So really, it all boils down to this one question, a simple choice. Is your marketing, and ultimately the growth of your business, going to be built on a solid foundation of verifiable proof? Or are you going to keep operating on hope? The choice is yours.